Welcome to the Pure Performance Cafe. May I take your order?
Yes, I would like a shot of Pure Performance, please.
Coming right up. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Pure Performance Cafe. My name is Brian Wilson. Today we have a special episode. We recently had another episode where we were talking about the Neotis-hosted PAC, the 24-hour Performance Advisory Committee PAC that they did. It was really fun. We got to witness it, and maybe we'll talk to them again. But it was 24 hours of presentations online. And in that similar vein, we're here to talk today about another conference coming up. This one is the Big Data Ignite Conference. So without any further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce my guests. From Big Data Ignite, we have both Elliot Church Tuhin Mitra, and then from Kellogg, we have Nolen Akerman. Hello, everybody. Elliot, why don't we start with you? Go ahead and introduce yourself, only because I wrote your name first. So we'll go to you first, Elliot. How you doing?
I'm well, Brian. Thank you for the introduction. And I am, as you said, Elliot Church. I'm one of the directors of Big Data Ignite, which is a nonprofit based in Michigan. And it grew out of really a set of meetups that happened on a monthly basis. And we did that over a period of time, and then thought to ourselves, in order to really capture more participation in West Michigan, we need to do something bigger. So 3 years ago, we started the conference. So this is the third annual conference. We're calling it Big Data Ignite 2018. And we look forward to great participation.
All right. And then we also have from Big Data Ignite, Tuhin Mitra. Tuhin, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. So just like Elliot, we started working together in putting together meetups. And we figured that at some point, we need to have a combination of grassroots as well as industry leaders to come together. And the genesis of that is Big Data Ignite. So alongside Elliot, I'm one of the other directors of Big Data Ignite. And this is our third year.
All right. And we also then from Kellogg have Nolen Akerman. Hello, Nolen.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
So basically, Nolen Akerman, I work in the analytics department at the Kellogg company as a principal data scientist, and been involved in several different user groups and then consortiums in Michigan around analytics. And as a part of those interactions, basically I learned about Big Data Ignite, met with Elliot and Tuhin, and basically providing kind of just a support and input as they're doing the great work to get ready for this conference that's coming up this year.
Great, thank you. So it looks like the Big Data Ignite conference is going to be in Grand Rapids, Michigan, right on September 19th through 21st. And I saw there's a website. You go to bigdataignite.com. I saw in the pictures there is a picture of a food table, so there will be food, everybody. It's always important to have that at a conference. But besides food, right, and getting to spend some time in Grand Rapids, what is the goal of Big Data Ignite? What is the? I mean, obviously, big data is part of the topic of the title. But if you had to describe Big Data Ignite conference to somebody, how would you describe it, and what's the goal of getting people to come?
Well, I'll take first crack at that, Brian. The goal or mission of Big Data Ignite is to foster expertise in advanced computing technologies and practice. And what we mean more specifically is data science, data analytics, IoT, cloud computing, machine learning, and related fields. And so we're really educational and training oriented, and the distinction is that we have a practical focus. That is to say, we want people to come away with practical skills from the conference. And so you referred to the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st of September. The 19th is really all about workshops, half day and full day, where we give people a chance to get their hands on current and emerging technologies and get some experience with it.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. We do that on our own conference. We have a yearly one, and the first day is very similar, where there's all hands-on training sessions just for that thing. So I think it's a really important aspect, and that's really cool to hear that you guys are doing that. So and Tuhin, do you have any insight from your point of view? Anything different to contribute from what Elliot mentioned?
Sure. So I want to draw attention to our theme for 2018. which is symbiotic intelligence through automation. And what we have been tracking through the last 3 years is that what do you actually get? What's the means to an end for cloud computing, for IoT, and for big data? And what that is doing is that you're collecting data so you can do some sort of predictive analytics, which will go forward to provide some kind of artificial intelligence. And as we have been tracking that over year 1, year 2, and now year 3, what we are seeing is this data is being mined even more deeply, and little pockets of automation are being built into pipelines. And those pipelines, which drive the automation, are becoming more intelligent. So when you combine an entire system with a pipeline, and which has this added intelligence in it, it creates a perception of a system which is more intelligent than what it was in the previous 2 or 3 different years. And it really allows you to then connect with the human users, and that's why there's the word symbiotic. So so as we do with every other year, this is our 3rd year, we want to identify a trend, we want to draw attention to that, and then we want to showcase workshops which will actually go into detail of how to get to that level of intelligence using automation, and then of course talks. And it's going to be looking at the net result from various different vantage points of how does it make business sense, vantage point, how does it help with human good, how does it help with being more efficient. So for 2018, there is a big focus on that, and I'm really excited to showcase that and bring it around from all different points of expertise. And I think it'll be a great conference.
I think that's great. It's something we see quite a lot in our engagements as well, where, and I think this is probably only part of what you're discussing there, but you can have an automated pipeline, but so many times when people have an automated pipeline, there are still all these breakpoints where people have to stop, look at data, analyze data, make a decision point, where part of this idea of adding these intelligent layers to it is pulling in all that data and then having automation or some sort of AI type of layer, whatever you want to call it, machine learning, whatever, everyone can throw around different buzzwords they want, but make those decision points based on the rule sets that you input so that you can remove that human interaction in your automated pipeline so that it just flows a lot smoother, thus freeing up then all of us humans to develop better things or maybe make better pipelines or whatever else it is. So I think it is a very important topic. And as I was saying, that's probably only one small part of what you can do with data and automation and everything else. So this is kind of a big thing, you guys. When we talked beforehand, something kind of big for Michigan, right? This grew out of a meetup, which I think is really awesome, and it's really, as Elliot said earlier, one of the main goals is not just to present information to people, but to help train and to use one of the terms we use a lot, to get people to level up, right? So this is there's also kind of a we're doing this for Michigan kind of part of the agenda to this, correct?
Absolutely. So Tuhin and I are long-term residents of Michigan, and we've been friends for a long time, and we've worked in various places for various employers throughout West Michigan. We got our education here and our experience in IT, and so we're committed to Michigan. And one of the points of origin for the idea of the conference was, hey, this is a great place to live, and it has some economic momentum, and we want to sustain that. And what can we do as technologists to contribute to that? Well, we can help people adopt advanced computing technologies that provide some competitive advantage. And when we looked at it 3 years ago, and when we look at it today, we still have the same perspective, which is There are really three things, and that is data science / data analytics and cloud computing and IoT. Why? Because IoT is all about sensors and detectors. Increasingly, the source of information. Cloud is the platform du jour for, and obviously a very scalable, convenient platform. And then data science, data analytics is all about deriving information and, in fact, deriving the right information and deriving valid information. So, yeah, we're trying very hard to foster expertise in a lot of ways, both at the practitioner level, but also at a strategic level. As Tuhin alluded to earlier, we have seen the necessity of attracting two types of people. Basically, practitioners are people who want to be, and then decision makers. When you've educated both to some degree on the strategy and technology, then they can go back to wherever they're from, be that industry, be it retail distribution, be it nonprofits, be it government agencies, and they can work together from some common point of view and some common basis of understanding to adopt whatever makes sense in the context of their organization. But the other thing, which I'll let Tuhin comment on a little further, is in terms of fostering expertise, we really see it being very important to reach out to young people. And I'll pass the baton to Tuhin to maybe say a few words about that.
Yeah, one of the things which I'm kind of seeing, not just in the US or Michigan or just around the world, is that the sooner you can get the next generation into these different types of technologies, the sooner you actually start cultivating this need and desire and curiosity to understand how things really work. So one of the things that I see in my children and some of the other children who are very attracted to this is that when you ask your phone, you say, "Hello, Google," and Google responds, what actually happened behind the covers, right? And that's a great question. People just usually take that for granted. But the moment you kind of, show a little bit of lift the covers and show a kid of what's going on, now that kid a lot of times wants to lift the cover even more because that's what children do. And you see that from all different age groups. And one of the things that we did last year was that we realized that, there's no age for learning, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how young or old you are. If you want to learn, you should be able to. And we for the second year, for the first time, we invited Tanmay Bakshi from Toronto, who's a prodigy in his own right. He is only, I believe, 13 years old now. And he is an IBM champion, and he is world-renowned as a IBM Watson developer. He's done tons of other AI work, and he came in, he did a keynote, he presented and spoke with the high school kids who also came at Big Data Ignite 2017. So we want to carry that forward for 2018. We want to reach out to not just the professionals, the citizen data scientists, but we also want Big Data Ignite to be a platform in the community where the young generation, the young people in our community can also come and connect and get plugged in early into the important fields of cloud computing, big data, and AI.
It's funny. It reminds me of a little story from my own experience with my daughter, where back when she was in her princess phase, she would always just speak into there's kids YouTube, and it's got a microphone, and she'd say princess videos. And when she got sick of all the princess videos that were playing, one day she said different princess videos to the tablet, and I was like, they have to prepare for that because kids are using just even the engagement on it is different than what you or I would probably think of, because we know what's under the hood. They, or at least part of what's under the hood, they just know the interaction, and they're seeing the way it should work in a completely different way, which could then also spark people to say, hey, let's design it in a different way, so that somebody says different princess videos, it knows it wants to show a different set, maybe start with page 2 or 3 of the result set or something. But anyway, I think it's a wonderful mission that you guys are doing there. It's building a community. Also, since you're keeping your community very well educated and really on top of all these ideas, that's going to attract more talent to the area. That in turn will then hopefully for Michigan attract more companies to be moving in, as long as you don't steal any from Denver. But then speaking of the community, right? We have let's turn to the community and Nolen, right? So you're planning on attending the Big Data Conference, I assume, right? Since you're on the show. And there's a lot of big data, big clouds. What kind of what can you tell us about some of the cloud initiatives that Kellogg's been undergoing recently?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Kellogg, as most Fortune 500 companies, investing a lot into expanding out into the cloud. Basically, for the flexibility and the ability to scale rapidly when we need new projects, and to be more agile, both in development of IT initiatives and IT projects, but also support of the business and the ability to do agile product development and quick response to consumers' changes. So it's definitely a strategic initiative, and it's not just for Kellogg, but obviously most companies in the analytics space, in particular within IT. It's important for us because as we're dealing with a variety of different inputs, different data sets that are coming from third parties that are in the cloud, we need the ability to provide a playground that can be quickly scaled up, deployed, and viewed globally, so that people that are working in various parts of the world can get access to this data, do analysis, and provide insights for the business to make decisions quickly. So the cloud enables that by allowing us to work, wherever we're at as we travel and move around, and still have access to the data to do that analysis. And obviously from a cost perspective, we're able to manage the cost better as a company by knowing exactly what we need to purchase now, and then being able to have the avenue to expand when that is required. So both from an overall infrastructure and IT perspective, and then also from an analytics, the cloud is becoming more and more a part of what we do on a daily basis. And then from Big Data Ignite, we're looking forward to, sharing that knowledge that we have and what we've learned, but also from learning from other people in the community about what they are doing with their cloud strategies. And I think the benefit for Kellogg in attending a conference like Big Data Ignite is the fact that it's run by a nonprofit. It's not a company that's looking at trying to put you into a pressure situation to sit through some presentations to sell you something. It's really an opportunity to network and interface with people that are in the community that are doing similar things, having similar challenges, where you can understand a little bit about what their case studies are, how they're battling the issues that they're having, and also to develop that network, because people are local. If they're in Michigan, we can easily network and find out what people are doing over time, and to build those relationships. So I see BDI doing a great job of providing a venue to share about cloud computing.
Great! Wow, you didn't have that written down, right?
off the top of my head.
And you've obviously probably gone to some other conferences before. Anybody thinking about attending, what, not necessarily Big Data Ignite, but any kind of conference you're talking about, why do you think it's important for other technologists to attend these kind of conferences? You kind of covered some of that, I think, in what you said, but any other?
Yeah, I think two things is, technology is changing so fast that, if you don't step outside of your box and learn what other people are doing in these kind of conferences and sessions, you're going to be stuck to, what at your particular company. So it's a good opportunity to go out and learn from others. But in addition to that, it's an opportunity for you to network with individuals, to develop that kind of professional network, so that as you have questions, as things come up in your business that other people have had exposure to, you can go out and reach out to them and get information. And I think that's an important part of attending conferences. Not just for technologists, I think for everybody, but especially in the technology field, which is changing so rapidly.
Right. And I think one of the big things is people are a lot more happy to share information these days. I don't think in technology it was ever extremely closed. People are always kind of very sharing about their data, but in terms of jobs, people aren't kind of do that. I'm going to protect myself and not let anybody know. There's a great trend going on these days where everyone's just sharing everything, much more so than I think ever in the past. So the conferences are really great ways to get that other information or share or just learn from other people's experiences. So Noel, was there anything else that you had, or otherwise I'm thinking maybe we can go into some closing thoughts. I did see that, anyway, any other thoughts that you had, Nolan, before we move on?
Just kind of one more plug. I know that people in Michigan, when they look at technology conferences, a lot of times they'll spend the money to go to the West Coast or to the South or to the East Coast for large conferences. This is an opportunity for people in Michigan to go to a place within driving distance, reduce costs but get a lot out of it. So I think that's just another advantage of BDI as a conference.
Yeah, I did notice on the website that there are also some student pricing and academic pricing as well. So there's quite a variety of pricing for different people. Excellent point there. Noel and Elliot Tuhin, do you guys have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I'll add some thoughts following on to what Nolan said. And pointing out that a nonprofit really is the right way to bring people together in a balanced and comprehensive way to understand what the technology landscape is without some biased presentation of that. We want representation from players big and small in the industry, and we seek that out and we bring those people in. So those people are here. Amazon is here. Microsoft is here. IBM is here, Cloudera, Hortonworks. These are all companies that have come in and brought great resources and given great workshops and strategic talks as well. In addition to a lot of consulting companies, I'll name Mosher IT Consulting out of Indiana, and Spindance, Open Systems Technologies. We've had great support, both in terms of content and also financially, to make this happen. And I'll say a word of thanks to all our sponsors and content providers, because it's because of them that we can offer this at a very attractive price point. It's a nonprofit, so expenses equal revenues, and we try to keep the ticket price down as low as we possibly can while providing excellent content and great food, as you mentioned. And I think I want Tuhin to comment on the great food before we close here.
Thanks, Elliot. So I know, Nolan, you mentioned that you've been to quite a few other conferences, and so have you, Elliot. And in everybody, when they go to different conferences, right, there's certain things they're usually, peeved about, certain things they love. But one of my pet peeves at just about any conference I go to is the food. I do not understand. After I paid thousands of dollars, why do I get a dried up burger, right? It's just doesn't make any sense at all. In fact, it is such a turnoff that you don't even want to be there after that. You just want to kind of go away and spend some time somewhere else. So when Elliot and we started thinking about putting this conference together, I had no idea how it was going to come together. So thank you again, sponsors, for who you are and for supporting us early on in our mission, because without that, this couldn't be possible. But one of our tenets was that we want to do this in the best location that we can in Grand Rapids, and that's the DeVos place. And we want to make sure that the food is not a dried up burger, and it is healthy, and it's something that people will want to be there and eat. And I'm happy to say from the last 2 years, and in our what we received in our polls, is that we have received a 5+ star rating for our food.
Wow.
And 2018 won't be any different. In fact, one of the things which I felt really great to hear this when I was chatting in 2017, I'm sorry. And this lady, she piped up and she said, I'm a vegetarian, I'm a vegan, and this is the first time in a long time where I did not have to go hungry, and I actually liked the food that was at the conference. So vegans, you're out there, and we love you, and we want you to be here, and you'll love the content, and you know what? You won't go hungry. So
The funny thing is, when I saw the picture, I was just making a joke because I saw the picture of the food, but I had no idea, honestly, that I think it's wonderful because you're right. The food is really sometimes quite an issue. I was just at a Denver DevOps conference a couple months ago, and they actually had the novel. Since it was a small enough conference, they had the novel idea to bring in several food trucks and give everyone a voucher for that, so that you didn't have just some sort of catered dry burger meal as you talk about. But yeah, food is going to become the next deciding factor. I think this is a wonderful idea. I think what you guys did, taking it from the idea of a meetup to this local conference, not even local, I guess obviously anybody can go there and learn great things from it, but just the idea of, you have your hot tech sectors. But as we know nowadays, with everything's running in the cloud and so many more teams are becoming distributed, less and less people have to live in the super hot tech sectors to have, jobs working on really cool products. So that means we're seeing, obviously we're seeing in Denver a lot more tech coming in. Michigan's getting a lot more tech. It's starting to get distributed throughout the country because you don't all have to be together. And for the idea that you can build your community by doing things like this, hopefully even maybe attract more technology companies to look at your area, hire in your area, come to your area, because they know that people are staying on top of the technology and staying well educated in what they're doing is very important. I think what you're doing serves as a great role for other regions to look out for and to maybe try tackling themselves. Obviously, there's meetups everywhere, but kudos to you all for taking this to the next level. So thanks for coming on. I hope the conference is a big success. Once again, that is going to be September 19th through 21st in Grand Rapids, Michigan. BigDataIgnite.com for more information. Thank you all for being on today.
Thanks a lot, Brian.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.